All right, man. We try to get this part two done. The video cut off. I really don't know what the heck happened because I ain't no, I ain't no tech. But I got my man BFM back on here, and where we cut off at we was talking about him, owning the Cotton's Bullet Dogs and him going to Red Becker's yard. Charlie being on the yard at the time, and we was talking about some of the accolades of Charlie. And when I went to transition it, that's when somehow the video cut off. Anyway, I got my man back on the phone. And what the next question was we was getting ready to get into, this is the man that, where Millbusters champion Homie and champion Spike, this was their final home. How did you end up getting those dogs?
I acquired them from Millbusters.
Okay, you went directly to Millbuster and got them dogs?
Yeah, I've been to Millbusters a few times when I went down there and did some dealings with him. We kicked it on the phone a few times, and we built a relationship. And that was back. That was 25 years ago.
Wow.
That was back around the time where they first sent Molina down there to get bred to Spike.
Okay, so check this out. So was Millbuster on his way out of the dogs when you got them two dogs off of him?
It was a transition, I believe. He never really did say that he was done, but he didn't say that he was going to continue with anything. I know at the time, they was only giving you a certain option to have as many dogs as he was allowed, so he was doing a little liquidation.
Wow. And so he decided to send Buster and, Homie and Spike with you.
Yep.
Wow. So when you got those dogs, were you able to get breedings off of both of them?
One apiece.
One off each.
But Spike belonged either. They was about, when I got them, they was about at the end of and had lived their life. You know what I mean?
They was old dogs at that point.
Say that again?
I said they were old dogs at that point.
Homie wasn't as old as Spike, but yeah, Spike was 10, 11.
Okay, now which one of those dogs is the one that beat Stallone?
That's Spike.
Spike. Okay, Spike was the one that beat Stallone. Okay, now you got one breeding off of each one of those dogs. Which way did you breed those? Which way did you breed Spike? Let's start with Spike.
I bred Spike to I had some Oiler. It was some Oiler Paz Junior stuff, some Kowalski's Tar Baby stuff, and bred it that way because I'd already had all my Bell's Baby Jones stuff all bunched up, and I was trying to incorporate this blood slowly. So I took it a Eli way. Same thing I did with the Homie stuff.
You bred Homie to an Eli bred female as well?
Somewhat, yeah. It was a Boyle's cowboy dog. So it was three quarters Eli with a quarter out of Bolio, basically. If you're looking at it in that aspect.
Wow, that's crazy. So to make it plain, the three dogs that was actually four dogs that your yard was kind of based around at one point was Charlie, Spike, Homie, and Bell's Baby Jones.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now the funny part about this is me and you was talking the other day, and I said, had I not ran into the people that I ran into, actually months before I ended up running into the Erie guys, I probably would have never messed with the guys down in Pittsburgh because the bloodlines that they had, it did, like I said, the Kamazinski blood was a real volatile blood to try to breed, and I think that breeding into the Cotton's Bullet stuff, I probably would still have those dogs today had I ran into the Cotton's Bullet stuff like I saw.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely you would have. Them is some durable dogs.
Yeah,
Them dogs is like dinosaurs.
And that was the thing that the Kamazinski dogs will start. I think it was from the inbreeding. And see, what happened was the strand of Kamazinski that I was running with, and I know you familiar with it because y'all had the Key dog down y'all's way, but he had started putting Bobby Hall blood in that blood. And
we had Key and Lillian down here.
Right, you see what I'm saying? And so when he started putting the Bobby Hall blood into it, it changed it.
Oh yeah, and it went through a metamorphosis. metamorphosis.
Yeah, because you would think it would give it heavier bones and everything. Because the Kamazinski dogs from before the Bullison was put in it was real thick boned bred dogs. And I don't understand what was his logic in putting the Eli stuff in it, other than the fact that the guys down in that area was starting to move towards the Eli dogs. And I'm not saying the breeding didn't work, because the initial breeding where they put Gillis's Gizmo into those dogs, you got dogs like Lugnut and his sister Star and stuff like that, and those dogs were phenomenal. But then it was like something after that just didn't click no more. And but nonetheless, you could still see a good honest bulldog out of them dogs, man. You won't ever hear me say a bad word about Bill Colburn or Mad Dog Kennels at all, man. I'm talking about, that's where I started in them dogs. I remember getting out to his spot and he let them dogs out the house, out the trailer, man. And them jokers would shoot across the yard, man, and jump maybe 7-8 feet in the air and be hanging from. That was, you figure, 14-year-old boy, that was one of the most amazing things I had ever seen in my life.
Right.
So, you know, he always had some good, honest dogs. Now, the funny thing is, this was years before I even met the guys down in Pittsburgh, and naturally before I met the guys in Erie. I went to a guy's yard here down at our Rio Beach, and he had two little females down there, one named Candy and one named Brandy. And my brother ended up buying the Candy dog off of him. And we had that dog for years, man, and she ended up dying. And the funny thing is after all those years, we never knew how she was bred until I got on the phone with you and found out you was the one that bred them dogs.
Yeah, that was back in the day. That was, what was that? That had to be the earliest of the 90s.
Yeah, real early 90s. I'm talking about, this was 90, 91, somewhere in there, 92 maybe.
I was going to say 90, 92, 93, somewhere around there.
It was way back in the early part of the 90s, man. I'm talking about, them was two of the nicest little dogs I had ever seen in my life, man. I'm talking.
Was they buckskin brindles or?
One was Candy was a buckskin, and her sister Brandy was like a brandy colored dog. She looked, and I'm talking about, these were some nice little jokers, man. I'm talking about real nice little dogs, man. And back then, man, the guys that we was dealing with to get the dogs off of, other than Billy, they didn't have no pedigrees, man. They just called them pits. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so when you started to expand beyond that, I think we went down to the town mall and they had a little library section in there. And we looked in that library section, and they had a book in there called This World of the American Pit Bull Terrier, and it was over from there. I'm talking about, I read that book and I was like, I don't want none of these dogs like this no more. I don't have no paperwork on them. I want to know what I'm breeding. And it, you know, at least just what I have. And from that point, it went from that to, you know, finding different bloodlines and stuff like that. And the funny thing is okay, now I mentioned in the earlier part of the first part of the video about getting into Honey Bunch Rascal dogs. Well, the Honey Bunch Rascal dogs that I was interested in and I ended up getting in it initially was Real Deal's Champion Evander Blood. And the ironic part about that is I love the blood. I mean, that blood was second to none to me. I don't have a bad word to say about the man or his bloodline. I appreciated the time and everything that he spent with us and teaching us different things about the dogs. But when I finally did meet the guys from Erie, they was running a strand of dogs called Bell's Baby Jones Blood. And if you look at Champion Evander's record, he lost to one of the dogs that was in the pedigree of the dogs from the guys from Erie. You care to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, we had, Joe had, he had Red Twinkie, we called her TJ, her name was Twinkie Jones. You know, it had a gamut of those dogs. Yeah, and I mean, we represented. That was our dude back then. Clyde was the one to go to breed to. But then Red Rum proved that he was worthy of breeding. And you know, they matched Twinkie Jones, and she ended up being pregnant and they didn't even know it.
Wow.
She ended up dropping pups 4 weeks after that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And that's where my first double bred female came from. On Peds Online, they got it as Clyde bred to his mother, and it's not Clyde bred to his mother. It's Clyde bred to his little sister.
Wow.
So you know, that's a discrepancy from somebody that put it up that wasn't.
Yeah.
Put it up, obviously.
I mean, y'all had a touch of some of the best dogs in the game come through the city of Erie. Y'all have like you said, y'all have Fergie down there. Y'all have Mr. Pachaki. Y'all have Red Becker. Who else would you put up there in the category up there that would past times or present would you say really represented well for the dogs and for what they was doing at the time down in your area?
Well, I would have to go back to Pete Donovan.
Pete Donovan.
Pete Donovan was used to be our fire chief back in the day.
Wow.
And he did direct business with Armitage and Pete Sparks and.
See, you going way back. You going way back. Listen, what he talking about? This is just a little small disclaimer. What he talking about? If you 20 years old, you're gonna have to go get in some books, because the names that he's mentioning now are in. Man, if you had a pedigree with these names in it, it's probably 8, 9, 10 generations back at this point. So he's talking. You talking history to these brothers, bro. I'm talking about textbook history where you really had to go read to find out, just who the heck it is you talking about.
Yeah, he used to have 30 dogs. He lived down on 7th and Cascade back in the day. And that was back in the 20s and the 30s. He was a tall gentleman. Always had on a suit, a nice hat, because that's how they dressed back then. But yeah, he played an intricate role in some of the finest bulldogs that looked through collars back then, because he knew some of everybody, and he had the respect of all his peers back then. You look at some of these old pedigrees with the Neblet blood and going back to the Orday blood and the Trice blood, and you start seeing you might see his name in there. Donovan's this, Donovan's that.
Wow.
And he would be considered the old head to Walt Komazinski and Blair Hetrick. You know what I'm saying? He was like a generation or two right before them.
Okay.
And that's our area.
Yeah. Now, when I think about this, the Erie Dogmen and stuff like that, certain names come to mind. I'm gonna just throw some names out there. I ain't asking you to. You just tell me the first thing that comes to mind when if it's a dog or what I mean, whatever. But Biscoff.
Musclehead, yeah.
Yeah, Musclehead. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about Musclehead Kennels and their contribution to the city of Erie in the dog game?
He tried to run an honest yard. He was passionate about the blood that he was using, and you really couldn't sway him one way or the other on what he thought was a good bulldog.
Now I'll tell you, without knowing him, just seeing his articles from back in the day, a guy that I really liked how he was breeding the dogs, because he was on a fast pace to keeping something that you can't really find heavy no more. And that was a guy named Marty Janik, and he had that deadlift stuff. What do you think about what he was doing?
Oh, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful thing Marty was doing. He's smart. I'll give him that. Marty's smart. Marty know how to put pairs together. He know how to put a good breed together. He got a good business mouth.
Yeah, and I think if Marty was still around breeding dogs, you'd be able to find that deadlift blood, because he had it, man. He had it right too.
He bred to him 3 times.
Yeah, he had it. Okay, let's see here. PA Combine.
They came on up through the trenches a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They did what they had to do. You know what I'm saying? I really don't know exactly what they got going on now, but I know during the time that they was clicking up real good, they had some well-bred dogs. They was spending some cash on some well-bred dogs.
Yeah, the dog that always comes to mind to me when I think about them boys is Nasty Boy.
Oh yeah.
That dog right there, because I met them off the back of that dog right there, off the reputation of him, and that made me contact them guys. What about Lake Effect Kennels?
Lake Effect, he's
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say he's I wouldn't say he's a world beater, but he's bred some good dogs.
I tell you one thing I can say about him. It ain't going. You ain't. He's not gonna put a breeding together of pedigree. We're gonna say that if you get it from him, because sometimes you just got to give people their credit where credit is due. If you get it from him, it was honest. Trust me,
Right.
you're gonna get a good honest bull. You're not gonna get nothing from him that ain't honest.
I've seen a few guys that have had bulldogs off of him, and they wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, he put together a good bulldog, man, and I think that's credited to the fact that he's honest with him. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna lie about the dog. He ain't gonna sugarcoat. I never known him to do that, and so he always was solid with it on that tip to me. As far as all of that went, you know, it was some good times down there with the guys in Erie, man. When I used to come through there a lot. Naturally, me and you still busted up on a regular basis, and I still got a couple ties down there in the city of Erie that have been in the double digits in years now, man. You know, and I cherish those relationships with those guys to, you know, whatever degree that they are. But nonetheless, Bayfront Mafia is my man. You already know that. That's my brother from another mother, and that's how we roll with it. So right now, you know, because I'm gonna put this up, you know what I mean, and everything. But what you got going on now? Like what, as far as your breeding program and things like that, like what blood are you running right now? You know, if you want to let people know, and if you got any of the like the stuff that you originated with. If you got any of that, you know, you might want, if you was looking to try to do some stuff with that. I know personally I've had people hit me up about your Cotton's Bullet dogs, and I you know, I've been trying this. So anybody watching this, y'all see this going up. He on the phone now. It ain't me. It's his blood. I can't make him do nothing. Listen. Me and this man been dealing with each other. I'm telling on you right now, bro. Me and this man been dealing with each other for 20 plus years. I have had something off of almost every breeding this man has done, except for the Cotton's Bullets, though.
Yeah, my bullet stuff ain't for
You know, and so I mean, if I really wanted it, I could have had it. I'm not gonna say it like that, but
we almost did.
yeah, we did. We bred it to Rhino, and then the breeding didn't take. But nonetheless, that's not over with either. So. Definitely. Go ahead, tell the people what you got going on right now. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, let them know what's up with Bayfront Mafia.
Bayfront Mafia ain't never really got too much going on. I just stay in my lane. Basically, right now, I'm just, I'm experimenting with some new blood that I wasn't used to. Have always known about it, but I wasn't a big fan of it. So, you know, it's the Mayday stuff. You know, I got some heavy lady dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's what I'm concentrating on right now. You know, just trying to see how it mingles. You know, with the rest of my stuff. But like my old stock ain't never for the public.
Right.
But yeah, this new stuff that I got going on right now it's bred up. You know, and you yourself should know. You know, you part of what I'm collectively putting together. So, you know, it's a Voltron BFM collabo.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I wasn't going to sit. I was hoping more along the lines of you talking about Sonny Chiba and stuff like that, because I wasn't really trying to plug, you know, Bo or Rhino or nothing like that right now. This was all about you and you know, so that's why I didn't, you know what I mean? That's why I said, you know, go ahead, do your thing, because he being bashful, but this man got a male over there named Sonny Chiba, and you'd be hard pressed to find one that rival this joker here. But you know what I'm saying? I know what he doing, so y'all just look it up. That's all I can say. Look him up. Look up Sonny Chiba. And you're gonna see that Sonny Chiba got, like he said, my old stock ain't never for sale. Well, Sonny Chiba got a streak of some stuff running through him that you're probably not gonna find. I'm not gonna say probably. You're not gonna find this stuff that's in Sonny Chiba. You're not. And unless you know the people that we know, you're not gonna get it. Now, I'm just gonna say it like this. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You ain't gonna get it like that. We got it though. Trust me, what I'm saying. We got it real nice. So,
you 5 me.
You 5 me, my man. That's shouts out to the homie. What's his name? Crip Mac. That's my guy right there. Crip Mac. And no, we not Crips or nothing like that. I'm a Christian. I'm a minister. I'm not a Crip. I just, you know, the brothers entertaining and stuff like that. So, and me and him like watching the videos and talking about it. So that's where that come from. But But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure, man. I mean, you know, it was just a brief introduction. At this point, right now, when I put it all together, it's about 40 minutes. So I'm excited to see how it's going to take off, because at the end of the day, man, like I said, you hear a lot about other people, but people don't get their flowers while they still here. You know what I'm saying? And so that was like I said, I'm going to start this stuff off, and the very first guy I'm going to interview is Bayfront Mafia, my man. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll go with it from there. But the very first one, I wanted to get that out, get it rolling, and let everybody know, man, listen, that old blood's still here. The dog game in Pennsylvania has always been solid. And if this is my plug. If the boy that used to own Champion Wiley see this video, hit my email, ronrios3@gmail.com. Please hit my email. We really need to talk to you. It's your man, Ron Rios, Voltron Kennels.